Most productivity advice is built on one massive lie. That waking up early is the answer. It isn't. This is the story of a man who tried every morning routine the internet told him to. The alarm clock, the productivity books, the 5 a.m. routine, and none of it changed his life. Then one night, during the worst period of his life, he discovered something completely different. 90 days later, he didn't just improve his life. He rebuilt it from scratch. His name was Rahim, 29 years old, night shift worker at a 24-hour print shop, the kind of place that smells like ink, hot paper, and exhaustion. He wasn't lazy. If anything, he was too responsible. Always on time. Never missed shifts. Did exactly what was asked of him. But discipline aimed at the wrong target is still a fast way to stay stuck. Every morning around 6 a.m., Rahim walked home while the rest of the city was waking up. Office workers disappeared into glass buildings. Students filled coffee shops with laptops and conversations about futures they were building. And every morning, he had the same thought. My life is moving, but not going anywhere. He had tried the advice. The book said, learn new skills. But after standing 8 hours at work, his brain felt numb. The podcast said, network. Network with who? He worked while everyone else slept. The videos said, wake up early. He was getting home at sunrise. That's when he realized something strange. Most self-improvement advice assumes your life already has structure. Rahim's life didn't. And here's the question nobody asks. What if the problem isn't your discipline? What if you're trying to run the right habits inside the wrong system? That question didn't come from a motivational speaker. It came from panic. 3 months into the job, Rahim found an envelope shoved under his apartment door. Rent increase. 30%. Effective in 60 days. He sat on the floor and started doing the math. At his current income, nothing worked. A second job meant less sleep. Less sleep meant less focus. Less focus meant even less chance of escaping the cycle. Every option seemed designed to trap him more deeply inside the life he already hated. So he opened his phone and searched for jobs. Most required degrees he didn't have. Experience he didn't have. Schedules impossible for someone working nights. Eventually, he dropped the phone beside him and stared at the ceiling. 3:17 a.m. An entire city asleep. And Rahim sitting alone inside a future that suddenly felt very small. That's when the thought hit him. I can't keep working harder inside a life that doesn't work. Something has to change. Now, what happened next surprised him. Instead of searching for solutions, he grabbed an old notebook from a shelf nearby. Not to make a plan, just to answer one question. What would I actually do if I stopped being afraid to fail? He wrote for almost 40 minutes. No structure. No strategy. Just honesty. Certain words kept repeating. Data. Patterns. Systems. He realized something strange. Even at the print shop, he was constantly noticing inefficiencies nobody tracked. Delivery times. Scheduling delays. Supply patterns. His brain naturally moved toward systems. He checked the clock. 4:02 a.m. And suddenly something clicked. He wasn't waking up early. He was already awake. While everyone online obsessed over morning routines, Rahim had hours nobody else wanted. Quiet hours. Invisible hours. Discarded hours. What if those hours were the opportunity? Now this is where most stories tell you. And then he built the perfect routine and transformed overnight. That's not what happened. The first 2 weeks were terrible. He fell asleep at the keyboard multiple times. Built spreadsheets that barely worked. Watched tutorials on data analysis and understood maybe 10% of what he was hearing. But he made one rule. 90 minutes every shift. Every single night. No matter what. Not because he felt motivated. Motivation disappears the second life becomes difficult. He did it because he had made a decision. And decisions are stronger than moods. Around week 4, something shifted. The tutorials stopped feeling like a foreign language. Not because he suddenly became smarter. Because his brain had been quietly adapting the entire time. Learning rarely feels dramatic while it's happening. Most growth feels confusing. Until suddenly it doesn't. By week 8, Rahim built something real. A dashboard tracking turnaround times at the print shop. Simple. Imperfect. But useful. He showed it to his manager. The manager showed the owner. The owner asked, "You built this yourself?" Rahim nodded. "When did you even have time?" Rahim smiled. Early mornings. 90 days after the rent increase, Rahim got an email from a logistics company. Someone had seen the dashboard he'd shared online asking for feedback. They offered him an operations analyst role. He hadn't applied. That's the part people misunderstand about opportunities. Sometimes opportunities don't arrive because you chase them. Sometimes they arrive because your work became visible. His salary doubled. He moved into a better apartment. But the most important thing he kept wasn't the new job. It was the notebook. Because that notebook contained the moment his life changed. The moment he stopped seeing his leftover hours as meaningless. Here's what Rahim discovered that most productivity content completely misses. The time was always there. It just wasn't labeled opportunity. It was labeled leftover. The strange hour before sleep. The empty commute. The quiet part of the night. The exhausted hour people waste scrolling because they believe it's too small to matter. But research has shown something fascinating. People learn and create best during the hours their minds naturally feel most alert, regardless of whether that's 5 a.m. or midnight. The secret isn't waking up early. The secret is protecting time that actually belongs to you. Rahim didn't optimize his mornings. He reclaimed his margins. And somewhere inside your week, there are probably 90 minutes hiding too. Inside waiting rooms. Inside late nights. Inside weekends. Inside moments you've already dismissed as unimportant. You don't need a completely new life to begin changing your future. You need one honest question. What would I actually build if I started tonight? Not next month. Not when life calms down. Tonight. Write the answer down. Then protect 90 minutes. That's it. Because Rahim didn't discover hidden time. He simply decided the time he already had was valuable. And that decision is available to you right now. If this story connected with something you've been feeling lately, send it to someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe for more stories about people who changed their lives without perfect conditions, just imperfect hours, used intentionally.